Due to increasing recognition that employees can be a potential source of competitive advantage, firms have come to more highly regard their recruitment and selection process. These processes can be categorized into theories of person fit and person organization approaches. Our focus will be on person organization fit, which can be defined as an agreement between the values of the organization and the individual. Research has shown attaining candidates with person-organization fit through effective recruitment and selection results in positive employee behavior, retention, and performance, from which firms would benefit financially. Conversely, if a poor fit was made through poor recruitment and selection, the likelihood of turnover increases, which is very costly to a firm. It includes loss of employees' tactic knowledge and cost of rehiring. Turnover costs can come to 2.5 times an employee's annual salary if the hiring mistake is corrected within 6 months. Our question of interest is how the recruitment and selection processes do and don't differ between public and private sector. Firstly, we find that there are commonalities between public and private sector in that both adopt the person-organization fit approach. For a firm to be adopting a person-organization fit approach to recruitment and selection, their process must seek personal achieving 2 types of fit. The first they seek is personal in between KSAs of an individual including qualities such as past experience, intelligence, knowledge of the job. The second match employers seek is between the individual's personality and the organization's culture. A person-organization fit is also characterized by multiple screening process. This process helps firms select a candidate. Simultaneously, the candidate is given a chance to learn more about the organization and job to decide if they would like the position. Examples of person-organization fit approach to recruitment include the 2 firms below. AFG Industries, who use resume screening, personality test, pre-employment training, interview, and medical exam, and Toyota, who use general knowledge exam, test of attitude towards work, assessment centers, and personal interview. The first case study we chose is the ATO, a public sector firm under Australian Public Service. People are employed by different agencies under the Government of Australia to administer the public working. The second case study we chose is Tesco, a private sector firm. Tesco, first opened in 1924, is an English-based multinational merchandise retailer. By 2005, it had 2,500 stores all over the world, and today remains one of the few largest supermarket groups in the world. Bulk recruitment, APS-1 entry-level project undertaken by ATO. It aims to recruit at least 100 staff. It successfully led 115 applicants joining the ATO across Australia through their recruitment and selection process. ATO recruitment and selection process involves online application, CV, work preference test, 300-word essay, online cognitive test, interview, research tasks, and referee checks. The advantage of the bulk recruitment is more cost-effective and more efficient for recruiting entry-level position when combined with online cognitive test. However, due to the volume of applicants, they need greater coordination between the selection team and line managers and more post-selection activities. Tesco's dual interview screening. Tesco has its own designated recruitment and selection system that contains 2 separated screening sections by interview. In general, it involves CV screening, interview, and assessment center. Both the ATO public firms and Tesco private firms demonstrate a person-organization approach in recruitment and selection. Their processes seek to find 2 types of fit in potential candidates. Both firms' process show 1. Fit between the individual's KSAs and the job by using at least CV screening. Additionally, ATO uses cognitive online test, 300-word essay, and research tasks. They also both show 2. Fit between personality and culture through at least the use of interview. Additionally, Tesco uses assessment centers. Online cognitive ability tests are one of the most powerful predictors of future work performance. Tests measure verbal, numerical, and abstract reasoning, and the resulting score reflects the person's ability to acquire, retain, organize, and apply information. People who score well on cognitive ability tests are more likely to develop more quickly a greater knowledge of the job, make effective decisions, successfully solve problems, and be able to respond well to new or complex situations. The validity of these tests are only exceeded by work sample tests and are equal to the interview method. However, cognitive testing is less time-consuming and more cost-effective to implement. Work preference method requires the candidate to identify important aspects of their lives so they can determine whether a certain career will match up with their lifestyle. Hiring people whose work preference match a job's requirements can significantly increase satisfaction, increase productivity, and decrease employee turnover. The method is particularly useful for entry level or where the applicant has no experience in the role. Each individual's job preferences are compared to a position profile, and an overall match classification is calculated. The test is recommended for an initial screening of candidates as it easily sifts through compatible candidates with the positions advertised. Resume screening has been widely used as a human resource selection technique. Typically, participants are provided with brief job descriptions to judge the suitability of one or more applicants for employment. There are 3 steps: scanning keywords, evaluating resumes against job requirements, and qualitative review. According to the article Recruitment and Selection, the study demonstrated that resume screening is a great method for organizations to adopt for recruitment and selection. Especially, the computerized resume screening could greatly reduce the time that HR professionals must spend sifting through non-standardized resumes. It is efficient and effective to find the potential matches from the applicant's database. Interview is an effective step in the entire hiring process. This step usually gives employers and job candidates an opportunity to communicate and exchange information, and more importantly, providing sufficient information for employer about the skills and experience the candidate would possess. In the scale of validity of predicting job performance, interviews are generally considered reliable, with a criterion value of 51%. The validity is based off the type: situational, 60%, job-related, 39%, and psychological, 29%. Different organizations use different types of interviews. For example, Tesco uses situational and structured interviews to evaluate the candidate, which also rank fairly high in the scale of method validity. However, there is some bias among interviews. Stereotyping occurs when interviewers make generalized opinions or judgment from the candidates. First impression also creates some noise/snap judgment during the interview which might pose positive or negative to the candidates. More importantly, halo or horns effect are also common examples of misinterpretation of a person where the interviewer only focus on 1 or 2 strong or weak points of the candidate and ignore the rest of the information. Assessment centers are generally an outsourced form of selection, although it can be done by an in-house recruitment specialist. A potential employee is asked to perform a number of exercises designed to gauge skills and personality attributes. These include a large array of tasks ranging from surveys to group activities to basic motor skills testing. Due to the nature of the test, this method is only suitable if there are a large amount of applicants that need to be narrowed down to a smaller pool. They are often used after applicants have gone through online assessment, initial interviews, or shortlisting. They are considered to be one of, if not the most reliable methods, and have been given an estimated accuracy of over 60%. This is due to the repetitive nature of all the tests, as well as the large array of testing types. As applicants are tested on so many different skills, a much more specific report on their abilities, skills, and personality is obtained. This leads to the method being considered very valid and unbiased. A few differences, however, do arise. A literature posits that written knowledge tests, practical tests, and interviews would be more popular amongst public institutions. This is due to legislative requirements for these methods to be used in the developing country where this study was held. However, this is precisely the case in our study of the ATO. Their favour towards written selection methods were obvious, including the 300-word essay and a research task. A reason for this choice can be found in guidelines provided in the New South Wales Merit Selection document. There is encouragement for combining different kinds of assessments to increase the validity of selection and to avoid reliance on interviewing. Amongst private institutions, the interview, CV screening, and assessment centres are more popular. Particularly regarding interviews, the public sector tends to have fewer rounds. Private sector tends to have a series. This applied in practice to Tesco. Not only did they hold assessment centres, they also held dual-stage interview. By contrast, ATO only mentioned interviews, suggesting 1 round. Both public and private firms are using multiple screening methods, measuring 2 types of fit, which are characteristics of the person-organization approach. As shown by statistics, success in retention and job satisfaction suggest that, as per theory, the methods have been effective. According to the Tesco 2012 annual report, it stated that the overall staff retention rate was as high as 90% over the entire year. In terms of particular selection methods, public sector favours written tests, whereas private sectors favour assessment centres and interviews.